When I was at TV1, we launched the first daily morning show in history on a Black network. And a brother hit me one day. He said, man, when you gonna get your own show? Bruh, I'm on 5 days a week. He said, no. I know about your TV1 show, but I mean a real show.
Ooh. Let me ask you, Roland Martin, when did you become unbothered?
Elementary school. It was elementary school. I have always operated, what's the phrase? March to your own drummer. I knew very early on that the Lord gave me a I don't care what other people think attitude. And in fact, I was in prayer one day and I literally asked the question. And what God said is, in order to say certain things, I need people who are not fixated on being liked and loved. If you look in the Bible at prophets, they were not all beloved because they have to say things that even their friends don't like. I remember Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. was booked to do my WVON radio show. And he told his staff, he said, hey, what we were talking about? They said, come on, you're Roland friends. He said, no, let me be real clear. Me and Roland are friends, but he will kick my ass on something. So I need to know what we're talking about. He said, because he don't discriminate even if you are a friend. And I remember at the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, it was the march that Sharpton had that Saturday, then it was that the big ones on that Monday. And Bernice King came up to me and she was really upset with something I had written, and Martin Luther King III was, and she was like, only y'all could walk in our shoes. And I said, Bernice, you see all these people here? Every single one of them know I will kick their ass if I need to. I said, but the flip side is, Bernice, you're going to want me to kick somebody's ass for you one day. This is no lie. This is no lie. She just shook her head. That was a Saturday. The following Tuesday, 3 days later, her brothers sued her in court in Alabama. In Georgia. And I left her a voicemail. I said, remember what I told you 3 days ago? You're going to want me to kick somebody's ass for you one day? That day came really pretty quick, huh? And she sort of laughed. But that really is necessary. I was that person who said stuff in school to fellow classmates, to teachers that tick folk off. I was that person as a senior. They talking about we go take a class trip. I'm like, why are we having this conversation? Y'all can't afford y'all invitations. So stop talking about Jamaica and Aruba and Mexico. Just take your asses down to Galveston, Texas, and have the enjoy the weekend and stop tripping. And I'm like, damn, look at him. Guess where they went? Galveston. I mean, so somebody has got to be that one who's going to say the stuff that everybody don't want them to say, and you're not going to be popular. You typically aren't going to get elected to stuff. You're not going to curry favor, but you are that one person they're going to call and say, and they're going to say what needs to be said. So,
Roland, it's rare that I meet people who can relate to finding what they want to do early on in life, because that's just not how the most people operate. They usually, it takes them maybe some hit and miss, trying something, not liking it. But, I knew in high school I wanted to be a sports journalist. You knew at 14,
yep, eighth grade,
that you wanted to do this. So what was it that got you on that path?
Well, first, Houston has an extensive magnet school system. Magnet schools were created to desegregate schools. And so you got petrochemical, aviation, you got school of communications, law, health professions. I mean, we got multiple programs. And I chose, it came down to law enforcement, criminal justice, being a lawyer in a school of communications. I knew I was going to be doing some talking somewhere. And so when I was in junior high school, we had like a Roman, it was some kind of Roman period. And I was the sports anchor doing some sports for this Roman stuff. But then in elementary school, we had a newspaper, and I actually was a sports editor. And my dad watched news all damn day. I'm talking about all day. He worked for Amtrak, and they got furloughs, so he got paid to stay at home for 7 years. And to me, I don't think you understand when I say watch news all day. I'm talking about we got ready for school, so he watching the 6 a.m. broadcast, and he's dropping us off, and it's the 7. And this is pre-VCR. This ain't no streaming. He watched the noon broadcast, the 5, the 6, and the 10, and then would watch another station's rebroadcast. Then some folk created a 4 o'clock newscast, and I was like, damn. Then in Houston, the Fox affiliate created a 9 o'clock newscast. Then another station created a 7 o'clock. I was like, oh my God. Then he read the paper every day, and you don't understand. You don't touch a black man's paper. Like, you literally couldn't touch I'm talking about you couldn't and he read the whole paper. Remember in newspaper when they will have like a hole in the back of the classified section, and they'll just drop a little story? He read that story. He finished the Sunday paper on Friday because he read the whole paper. So that's growing up. So I'm a senior in college. We're in the car, and I got denied a job because my credit report, the Birmingham News. I never let them forget. My dad, he's looking at how much journalists make coming out of college, and he's like, son, do you really want to do this? And I was like, say what? All that damn news we had to watch, all of the shows we missed. Are you serious? You asking me this question right now? I'm about a month from graduation, 4 years of school communications in high school, 4 years of college, and you actually asking me. I said, one of your damn kids was going to become a journalist. Straight up. We driving on I-10. I was like, man, come on. Well, obviously, now they living in my house in Dallas that's paid off, and they living rent-free. And I paid off their cars and everything. So I don't think he's now concerned about how much journalists make.
Well, I was concerned like you because when I graduated from college, we talking about 1997, the average salary for a journalist was $19,000. But
okay, hold up. That's 97. I graduated in 1991. The Austin American Statesman offered me $20,100. I said, I ain't coming unless y'all offer me at least $22,000. Got promoted 3 times. I did. Oh, no, I did. I renegotiated. I got promoted 3 times in the first year and a half. So 18 months out of college, I went from offer $20,000 to making $34,100. So which is crazy. But yeah, no, that was in fact, Bill Baker worked for Night Reader, who was vice president. He said, I really think that you ought to work at our paper in Bradenton. And I was like, let me see the circulation. I said, no, Doc, y'all too small. I said, I can't do that. And he was like, wait a minute. What? He's like, literally, did he just tell me, the vice president of Night Reader, we too small? I said, hey, man, that paper's for people who don't have my experience. And he was like, well, I said, listen, I had 4 years of high school, 4 years of college. My high school was more rigorous than the journalism program at Texas A&M. That's just straight up. I created my own curriculum when I was at Texas A&M. Well, I didn't work for the school paper. I worked for the local newspaper, local radio station, intern at the television station. Should have got hired as a weekend sports anchor, but the news director, Jeff Braun, was racist and refused to hire a black man. Even his own friends told me that. So I was real clear. So I came out of college with 100+ clips, worked in radio, worked in television, worked for the Houston Defender. And so the experience, so he was kind of like, who is this young black kid? Well, after 18 months, he saw how fast I flew up the ladder. He was kind of like, damn, he was right. And so that's why I tell everybody, you have to know your skill set and know your value, and don't overestimate your value, because if you negotiate a job for higher than what your skill set is, they're going to judge you on that salary, not your skill set.
No, I mean, that's great advice. And I can certainly relate because when I started at the News and Observer, everybody told me I interned there first and they extended my internship. And I talked to another staffer who said that they'd extended his internship for 11 months. And as you know, your intern salary for a newspaper, that's cheap as hell. I was like, I'm gonna tell you what's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be interning for 11 months, right?
Boom.
Like you're gonna have to give me a job. So I went out and I got another job offer from the Savannah Morning News. And the first salary they offered me was, or the salary I wound up getting out of the gate, I should say, was like $23,000, which is above what they actually wanted to pay. And then I got a merit raise, and so it kicked up even more. And then finally, I left the paper in just underneath 2 years because the Free Press offered me a job to cover Michigan State football and basketball, and that was for 47,000. So I've doubled my salary in like one
Boom.
take because I felt like you did. I had 5 internships in college. I worked at my college newspaper. I had been working as a paid journalist since I was 16 years old. So
There you
no,
go.
I'm not going to a small market. It's just what it is. Like
There
I
you
know
go.
what my skill set suggests. So that's great advice, for young people. But even knowing though, Roland, at that time that we knew we weren't going to get rich as journalists, we certainly knew we weren't going to get famous, which why I find it so interesting now that the younger journalists actually think they can do this. Like they want to be famous. I'm like, really? That was
But
never
see,
really.
I remind them, you don't get famous. The work is what they recognize.
You know what? Say that again, Roland, for the
It's
for the
the
people in the
work.
cheap
I
people
mean,
in
it's
the
the
cheap
work.
seats.
I had numerous folk come up. They come up to me at NABJ around the country, and they say, "Man, I want to do what you do." And I say, "But do you want to do what I did?"
That's a bar.
And they go, "I said, no. Do you want to do what I did? Do you want to study your craft?" Again, we're talking in a hotel newsroom. That's a Canon XA45. That's 2 portable lights. That's a light stand. That's a live view unit. That's LED lights I travel with. That's a wireless microphone. I can set all it up in 20 minutes and I can go live. Do you want to do what I do? Oh, so when they say I want to do what you do, what they really mean is I want to be recognized in airports. I want to be stopped on the street. And I'm like, but I don't get stopped on the street because I stand in front of a camera. I get stopped on the street because of what I say while I'm on the camera, which means the study behind the work. That means that not just I got your book because I'm talking to you, because I've got the book on Black fortunes, because I've got other stuff, because I'm in a constant state of learning. I'm in a constant mode. Maya Angelou said, I'm not a Christian. She said, because if I get to be a Christian, then I've learned everything I need to be about being a Christian. Well, I'm never going to learn everything I need to know to be a top journalist because I'm constantly learning. And see, they don't want to do that. They don't want to sit here and volunteer to carry that pager on the weekend when the boss is saying, everybody else like, man, I'm not carrying that pager. Damn that. Page me. Or when we got new laptops in, and first of all, I cussed them out saying, why we got these little trash 80s with a little three-line LED. I don't read this. I said, I grew up in Apple world. And when the laptops come in, I learned, first one, give it to me, took it home, read the manual, know how to use it. Then when Oklahoma State federal building blew up and I was on a plane sent there, first ones to land 3 hours later, then the newsroom became my hotel room because I was the only one on our crew who knew how to use the laptops. So I'm like, you got to do what I did to get to this point. And a lot of folk don't want to do that. They want to praise Bishop Jakes for preaching in front of a million, but nobody wants to talk about when he was digging ditches in West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, to me, you have to love that process as much as you love the results. Yeah, because like I still love this job as much as I did when I was making $30 a story at the Lansing State Journal, covering high school sports. And as I tell them, it won't sustain you if you only love it if you can be on CNN or if you can be on ESPN or if you can have your own network. If that's the only reason that's going to get you to love this, you will never stay in this long enough to get all those things that you want.
My wife says, she says, you got to stop saying it's easy. She said, because it's easy to you. And that's true. But the reason I say it's easy, because, yeah, I do love it. I mean, I love, like, wait a minute, hold up. DJ, I got a new wireless microphone. Hold up. How's it different from the Rode? Okay, the Rode, the screen is on top. So when I'm shooting, I got to look over top of the camera. But this one is facing me. Oh, I got a third drone that just came in. So for me, it's figuring out okay, how can I carry less stuff when I travel and still be able to do what I do? So if MSNBC calls me, or if you call me, or someone is to broadcast, look, I forgot my laptop. I normally have my laptop, and I got on the plane. I was like, damn, I left my laptop. But I always carry 3 iPads and 2 iPhones. So it's kind of like, okay, how am I going to do this here? Cool, I can use the phone. I can connect it. To me, it's still that part, because when I was in high school, they wouldn't let us go into the TV studio in the first semester. We had to learn the definitions and cables and know this cable. I had some students straight up, Jemele, who was killing me. I ain't gonna name the school, but we had an event, and I said, yo, I called us, it was an HBCU. I said, hey, send me 4 y'all students. I'm gonna pay them to help with this broadcast. So we sit, I said, yo, go to my car and get me that 1/8 inch cable with the XLR. Why this child brought back an SDI cable? And I was like, what the hell are they teaching y'all? Now, again, somebody might say, man, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is when you are going for a job, ain't nobody gonna sit here and take time to tell you the difference between an SDI and an HDMI and an XLR cable. You're supposed to know that. So for me, it's the learning. It's still like, my goodness, how can I do this and I can do this? I get excited with a new piece of equipment. It's like, ooh, what can I do with that? Or, oh man, I like that shot. I'll be watching a show and I'll be like, oh damn, I love that camera movement. I wonder, was that like a jib? Or how were they doing it? And then I want to do this. So when we shoot a project, I'm gonna do the same thing. Or it's when you're a journalist and you meet somebody. And so today I'm doing that Sirius XM, I'm doing some interviews, and Iman is being interviewed by Hoda. And so I'm sitting there. So I'm done. I had you about 90 minutes later. So I'm like, well, I got some time. So I'm sitting there, and I met Hoda. I met Iman twice. I'm like, she don't remember me. Hold it up. We sitting there when it's over. I walk up and she's like, oh my God. She hugs me. She's like, I love you. I watch it. Oh, really? Okay. And I was like, all right, well, I'd love to sit down and talk to you. I said, well, all these people with her, well, who should I talk? She's like, I'm going to give you my number. Now, for the young journalist, I didn't get caught up in, let me get my photo with Iman.
Say that.
The goal was to get the number. Because see, me, no disrespect, I don't call publicists. I don't call business managers. I have relationships with the individuals. And so again, that's a part of the job. That even if I'm sitting there, if I'm at a game, I went to the Knicks Rockets game. I'm in New York. Told TJ Holmes to come with me. Had tickets behind the goal, but I got press credentials. Why did I call to get credentials? Because I can't walk the floor with the tickets. I can walk the floor with my credentials. Why am I walking the floor? See who the hell at the game.
That's right.
When it was over, I said, TJ, said, let's come on. He's like, man, I'm going home. I said, no, you're going to bring your ass down here. Your show on BET starting soon. You need to be connecting with cats. So Spike, Tracy Morgan. So when you love this, it's constantly top of mind when you're meeting people and you're connecting with people in terms of how you're able to build what you're doing. So that way, when I am going to LA and I do Rolling with Roland, we set up shop at an Airbnb. I send text messages to 40 people. I got X number of slots. I can knock out 15 interviews in 1 week, and they all come here, and I ain't dealing with no publicists, no drama, and they literally show up, sit down, and then go back out. That's the relationship. And they go, because I watch you, I respect you. That's the work that gets them to show up. And that's what I tell any young journalist, focus on the work. Everything else gonna happen. But you don't focus on the work, you ain't gonna never experience that.
One thing that I think is fascinating about your career is that you have always had a foot, if not often 2 feet, an arm, and an elbow in Black media.
Oh, yes.
That seemed to be very important to you. I'm someone, I've never fully worked for Black media. I've done one-offs here and there, but have never done it. Why was that so important to you to always have some kind of presence in Black media? And now you're Black media owned, which we'll get into that. But why was it always important for you to maintain that presence?
1990? Yes, 1990. So I take it back. When I worked at KBTX, I was an intern, non-paid. Sports job comes open on the weekend. I'm talking about everybody in the station. This is a no-brainer. High roll. The sports director, the guy who was leaving, the 5 p.m. producer, the 6 and 10 p.m. producer, they were like, this is a no-brainer. Well, the news director's name was Jeff Braun. Jeff had a run-in with a black guy 10 years earlier who later owned a radio station in town. And he wasn't going to hire no black man. Alice Brown, who's an investigative reporter, took me for a walk and told me he wasn't going to hire me. I was like, fuck this. I was hot because the person he hired, nice guy, was one of my classmates. I was killing him. He was a senior. I was a sophomore. I was killing him in the classes. So I was like, damn that. So I'm in LA. It's an NABJ board meeting. This is March 1990. And David Squires was friends with his sister who worked at the LA Times, who was married to a brother named Tommy Wright, who worked at CBS. He was a videographer. And we in that kitchen. And Tommy's asking me about all the stuff that I've done. And again, I'm only in school 2 years. Tommy was like, don't you ever work for another day for free in your life? He said, not with the experience you already got. Well, that summer I had gotten an internship free at CBS News in Dallas. Well, hell, I couldn't work for free. I would have to live with some relatives. I ain't had transportation. Look, my parents had 3 kids in college at the same time, and they never made more than $50,000 in their life combined. So, hell, it wasn't like it was money. So I said, look, I got to stay home and I got to work. So I bypassed the CBS internship, and I had a job at Wendy's in the summer, and I went apply to the Houston Defender. And they were like, we're going to pay internship. I said, well, I can't work here. Y'all got to pay me. And Sonny was like that. Sonny Masao Job was like, hey, who the hell is this little young Negro? I'm like, y'all got to pay me. And it paid off big time. Well, that experience, I got a chance to interview Congressman Craig Washington, mayor. I covered the Houston Economic Summit. And so what I saw was, wait a minute, I'm connecting with the same type folk, whether it's mainstream or not. But Sonny, being the publisher, also saw where I was going, and she would talk to me as if I was a future publisher. And so I'm watching. Grandmother had a catering business, so I saw what Black ownership looks like. Mama had a cake business. I saw Black ownership looks like. But now I'm seeing somebody Black who's running their own media company. So I didn't come into the business thinking mainstream was the be all to end all. I didn't look at that white validation. Ooh, the Houston Chronicle, the Austin American Statesman, the New York Times. I saw I can do great work at a Black newspaper. I got to write stories, editorials. I got to cover sports, news, and all. So that was there. Graduate from college, go to the Austin American Statesman, then I go to Fort Worth. I wanted to write some columns. Austin was like, oh, you too young. I said, hold up, I wrote a column. Is it good? It was like, yeah. I said, why in the hell y'all don't run it? Well, you need more experience. Well, look, is the shit good? Is it better than what y'all got? Yeah, run that shit. Fine. I go to Fort Worth. They don't want to run my stuff. So hell, I'm like, yo, I write for the Houston Defender. I start writing columns. Mind you, I'm only out of college. I was in Austin 13 months. I get to Fort Worth. I'm only out of college 14 months. I'm writing stuff, and then we get a new editor. She was like, I mentioned it. She's like, let me see it. So she's like, why the hell we not running? I said, because they didn't want to. She walked down to the editorial section like, y'all better start running this stuff. But the Black paper allowed me to be able to develop and hone my voice when white mainstream media said no. And so what I figured out was, so then 2.5 years in, we covered the Oklahoma City bombing. And it was a trip because the first 2 days, Jemele, there was no editor on site. Well, I sort of just took over locally. The newsroom was my hotel room. First 2 days, it was in essence coordinating the coverage. Next 2 days, they brought an editor in. Coverage actually went down when she was on the scene, and we clashed. But by that Sunday, she was like, I learned a lot from you this week, but don't tell nobody. But in the next year and a half, she got 3 promotions. She went from a suburban city editor to an AME. Off the strength of the work, it really, really wasn't all her work. But what it taught me was I could run a newsroom. So when a black radio station said, hey, we got an opening for news director, morning anchor, I took it. They were like, you're crazy. But I understood I would control the coverage. I would control the framing of the stories. And so black media taught me, if they tell me no, over here it's yes. So fast forward, I'm at CNN. I'm interviewing Winnie. They can't find nobody black to interview. Nobody to interview Winnie Mandela. They come to me. Go to Birmingham, interview her. We come back, and they go, "Oh, well, we got some questions. Why didn't you ask her about the trial? She went on accused of. Then when they putting tires around people's neck and burn them up, I said, why in the hell y'all don't talk to her? I asked her what the hell I wanted to ask her. And they were like, well, we're not going to run the interview. Fine. I went to John Klein, president of CNN US. I said, yo, you folks in Atlanta not running the interview. Give me the interview. I'm going to run to my TV One show. John was like, shit, okay, great. I did. When he dies, March 2018, I restreamed the interview. The only reason that I ever interviewed Winnie Mandela is because I had a black outlet to show it. And so I have always said, y'all gonna tell me no, but I'm gonna always have some place to run something if y'all ever tell me no. And I never believed in white validation. I didn't go through college. People like, oh, you should work for the New York Times. I don't want to. I never want to work for the Times or Washington Post because I always believe I can do great work no matter where I am. The greatest time I had before what I'm doing now was I ran the Dallas Weekly. I had total control. I was shooting art for the cover, editing stories, doing all sort of different stuff. And it was fun, loving it. But I never believed that black media was less than. I knew we didn't have the resources. I knew the staff wasn't, but I never believed we were less than. And so I carried it on. So people like, man, it's glad to see, when you entered at CNN, you were the TV One. They don't realize I got paid by TV One before CNN. And they asked me to leave TV One. They at CNN, John Klein I had lunch 2009. He said, when are you going to be done with all this TV One and Tom Jones? I said, when are you going to give me a 5-day-a-week show? Then I might think about it, because I had a contract, it was a dual contract, contributor and a show host. But I would have never left. I always said, it's like that black grandmama who had her money up here. She always had something up here.
She gonna keep a 20.
Boom. So for me, I always had something else. So if anybody told me, no, we're not interested, or no, you can't go, it's all right. So when they had a debate, University of Texas, CNN said, we're not bringing any contributors. I'm like, all right, cool. So I said, I'm rolling. They were like, what do you mean you going? I said, oh, I don't need y'all to pay my ticket. I got a TV One show with a budget. And they're like, damn. And one of the reasons why I conflicted with a lot of people at CNN was because I had other economic means. I had Tom Jones Radio. I had TV One. I had my syndicated column. And so when I got an interview with Obama, CNN was like, well, you got an interview? I said, oh, no, I'm sorry. The interview is not for y'all. It's for my TV One show. But y'all more than welcome to run it, but you got to credit TV One. That was always the deal. And so in understanding that allowed me to be able to flourish. Now, did it hurt me? Yes, because I didn't give everything to mainstream. But I accepted, Jemele, that I will never go high in mainstream because I chose to own and have my flexibility and freedom.
Roland, you hit on something that is so important about just how we as Black people conceive what is successful, right? I know you get this 1,000 times, even though you haven't been at CNN for years.
9 years been gone.
Yes, you've been gone about a decade. I've been gone from ESPN for now 4 years. I hear it all the time from our folks. Oh, I miss you on ESPN. I'm sure you hear, I miss you on CNN, and
all time.
where can I find you and all this? And they say it under the vein like I should be missing ESPN. I don't miss being at ESPN. I swear to God, I don't.
Right.
And can you just talk about
I got you.
You already know where I'm going with this.
No, I got you.
You already know is that there is this perception, as you said, that
Right.
our craft, what we do, only means something if we
Yeah.
wind up doing it for some big company that they can, that they consider validation. So
Yes.
how did you deal, or how do you deal with that part, that people are always coming at you saying, Roland, you should be on a bigger platform. Roland, you should be at this place, at this
I
place,
got that email today.
someplace other than the place that you own.
I literally got the email. No, I got a tweet today, an hour ago. Man, I wish your voice was on a larger platform. And I said, I appreciate that, but if I don't own it, I'm good. When I was at TV One, so we launched the first daily morning show in history on a Black network. And a brother hit me one day. He said, man, when you gonna get your own show? Bruh, I'm on 5 days a week. 5 days a week. He said, no. I know about your TV One show, but I mean a real show.
Oh.
Like CNN, MSNBC. Now, I could have done two things. I could have cussed his ass out. Or I could have said, let me educate my brother. I chose option 2. And I said, brother, are you aware that when Brian Williams comes to Washington, D.C., he sits in the same chair that I sit in? He's like, I'm confused. I said, well, there's a glass table just to the left and it has 2 shelves. And there's a brush that white people use to brush their hair. And the bottom, there's a mirror and a bristle brush. I said, Brian don't use a bristle brush. And he was like, okay, I'm confused. I said, you don't realize that we contract with NBC News Channel to do TV One's News One Now. So literally, I am sitting in the exact same studio, the exact same chair, same walls, same set, same cameras, same fiber optic lines, same control room as NBC. I said, the difference is it airs on TV One, not NBC. So how's my show not real? I said, brother, what you really are saying is you are devaluing Blackness. You're saying that the Black network is second class. It's second rate. When I am literally using the exact same studio as NBC. I said, you have been trained and conditioned to think that if it's on a Black network, it's less than, it's second than. When we had the TV One show, I was told any staffer, if I ever hear you say, well, it's a Black network, you will no longer work here. Because that is a mindset, and you are telling yourself from the jump, we're not good enough. I said, that will not be allowed anywhere near me. And so I always believe that Black people can get first-rate journalism from Black-owned media. It's about your standard. So I have staffers at TV One, Chicago Defender. Man, Roland hard, Roland mean. Man, he be going off because I have a standard. And I said this. I said, though some of the bullshit y'all do, you wouldn't do it if your boss was white. And you know it. You wouldn't do it. You roll up in here when you want to, you wouldn't do it. I said, but you think that you can disrespect me because I'm Black and the show is Black. I said, I will fire your ass quicker than they will. It's a standard. And we have to understand, we have been conditioned to think our stuff is less than. We are not worthy. It is pure conditioning. So that's why when we walk out and when we step out there, I do not let anybody talk to my staff and then stick us in the corner. I do not let anyone just wave us off and go, oh, and so if CNN and MSNBC show up, it's we gonna roll the red carpet out. No, damn that. You're not gonna disrespect us. Because when I'm live streaming, there's an LU 800 right there. And that bad boy with the rap unit costs $60,000. I own 2 of them. That's the same live streaming unit ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, ESPN got, because it's the top of the line. And so when you operate from that standpoint, you ain't letting nobody talk to you anyway. And I've had some clashes with politicians, with others. You are not going to disrespect us by giving somebody the exclusive or giving them an interview. No, you're going to respect us the exact same way. See, that's state of mind. And so I'm constantly trying to get Black people reprogrammed to stop thinking that we are less than, that you can just sort of just give us anything and accept it. And so, no, I don't allow it. And I will actually tell some folk, no, I will not interview you, or you will not be coming on our show. Ariana Huffington, TV One, she missed 2 slots. I was like, listen, we come back from this commercial break, I'm going to read this story. I said, and if her ass is not sitting in that seat in 90 seconds, she is bumped and I'm moving on. They were like, but we're going to have a 7-minute hold. I said, I'll take it from there. I read that story. I looked at the monitor. She wasn't sitting her ass in that seat. Jemele, I did a 6.5-minute commentary off the top of my head, right there on the spot. Toss it to break. And her people were pissed. I said, she missed her damn slot 3 times. You wouldn't pull that shit with CNN. I said, you're not going to pull it with me. And my staff was like, but Roland, that's Ariana Huffington. I said, did she miss her slot 3 times? I don't give a damn if that was Michelle Obama. You not going to disrespect my show by acting like I'm irrelevant and you just going to show up when you want to. I never rebooked her.
Mm. Now, you, Roland Martin Unfiltered is what, 4 years in?
4 years old.
4 years old and doing wonderful funding, obviously viewers, all that, like everything is just going up a level every single year. So congratulations to that. And now you owned your own product, but you've expanded Black Star Network.
Yep, 1 year old.
1 year old, which, you come 100% Black ownership. That is a unicorn in media. Why is Black media ownership so important? Not like Black run media, not like Black centered media. We're talking about Black owned media.
There's a book that every person should have a copy of. Out of the more than 1,000 books in my library, it is top 3, period. Not even in this, where do we go from here, chaos or community? It was the last book written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And in that particular book, and I was on Sway's show. I literally just sent this to him. And I said, brother, read this. There was a section in the book where Dr. King said that there are 4 entities in the Black community that are prime positioned to liberate Black people. He said the Negro church, the Negro press, Negro professional and business groups, and Negro fraternities and sororities. But when it came to the Negro press, he said it is incumbent upon the Negro press to maintain its militancy and its advocacy. That's what he said. Why did he say that? Because if you look at the history of our people, we don't get to where we are if it was not for Frederick Douglass's The North Star, Ida B. Well Barnett's writings, for the Chicago Defender, the Pittsburgh Courier, the Atlanta Daily World, Ebony and Jet, and then we can go on and on and on. We don't get there. And so we can't have a situation where we are asking somebody permission to tell our story. So advertising wise, when it comes to reach Black people digital, they send the money to Complex. Yes, goes to Complex. Complex ain't Black owned. And then when you support Complex, that's not money not coming to Black people. So when we own, and then when Black owned media is getting advertising dollars, here's what happens. So when I moved to my new studio, my control room was built out by a Black engineering company. My green screen was purchased from a Black drape company. My lighting system was installed by a Black-owned lighting company. My set was built by a Black-owned set design company. The artwork on my set is from Black artist Leroy Campbell. And so the reality is when my fans send their hard-earned money, and here's the deal, I don't charge a subscription because a lot of our folk can't afford $4.99 a month. And so I made a fan club. And I told him up front, Jemele, I ain't sending you no hats, no mugs, no bags, because all that stuff costs money and we need the money to go to the show. I probably had 10 people out of 22,000 complain. I got folk who tied. I got a woman, I'm named Cheryl. I don't give a last name for track it down. That woman has tithed $50 a month since we launched. My Aunt Betty died last year, told her daughter on her deathbed, you are to give my $50 to Roland every year, even when I'm dead. The first check I got was from a 92-year-old Black woman in Long Island, New York, who said, I watch you every day, but your voice matters and we need you. Here's a $500 check. And so when we own, we now are recirculating our dollars to Black people. And then when we travel, where do we eat? Black restaurants. I hire Black freelancers, Black producers, Black videographers. So I am practicing collective Black economics, which King talked about, and we control it. So when other folks, so Ben Crump has told his people, don't y'all cannot call MSNBC first and Roland second. Because he says, because he was there, MSNBC wasn't taking our calls. And that's why we have to have it, because we're covering stuff and we're not giving it 60 seconds. Cicely Tyson dies and it's a mention on network television. We do a 3-hour tribute show. Chadwick Boseman, Colin Powell. We could go on Bill Withers. Mainstream media barely even mentioned Bill Withers. We did a 90-minute tribute show. So when we own it, we ain't asking nobody for permission. If you came to me and said, hey, Roland, we got this major thing happening in Detroit, man, I need you to broadcast your show. Ain't no meetings. I don't go, hold on, Jemele, let me go over here and check. No. On the spot, I can say, we're there. The Kansas City Urban League talked about the racism in the police department. I said, listen, y'all organize a town hall. I will come there and host it. They did it. I said, look, I got to pay crew. They said, got it. Here's the money. Pay for your crew. Went there, broadcast the town hall, elevated the story. That's why. Because we can't hope somebody show up. We need to know there's somebody who we can call, who we can tell our story to. That's why every Monday, I got Black experts on with Fit, Live, Win. Tuesday, Marketplace, I feature Black-owned businesses. They don't pay for that segment. I feature them because it's about Black economics. Every Wednesday, Black folks who are in tech. Friday, Black folks who are in education. You see Black generals. You see Black economists. You see, so everything that Black people growing up, we were like, man, it was awesome. We could look at Ebony Jet and see us. It's the same thing because, and not only that, turn on MSNBC, Fox News, CNN. You know who you're going to see? Black folks who came through my doors. Black folks who networks would have never called, but who came in. Laura Coates just became a co-host 10 p.m. Laura Coates said to me 2 months ago, Roland, thank you, thank you, thank you. You were the first person to put me in the host chair. I never hosted before until I hosted your show. She got a taste of what that was like and learned how to host. If you don't have a Black platform, you can't provide opportunities. So Angela Rye, David Swirlick, Paris Denard, Shermichael Singleton, you see Paul Butler dropping legal knowledge on MSNBC? Go look at some clips from Washington Watch. So April Ryan, her first paid contributor gig, TV One's Washington Watch. And so that's why Black ownership matters, because we ain't got to ask nobody for permission.
So another thing that I think that I've noticed, and by the way, I'm sorry, Roland, you know what? I need to join the Bring the Fun Club. I'm bullshitting. My bad. It stops today. I got you. All right. All right. But one thing that there's constant debate about is how much Black folks actually care about the news. As someone in your position,
Oh,
you
they
can speak.
care.
Yeah, you can speak to this because I hear it a lot. And we've seen even, frankly, even what are supposed to be Black platforms, although not Black media
Listen,
owned, we've seen BT jump in and out of news. They'll do one-offs, but like that nightly Black news presence and all that, like a lot of people try to justify not doing the news because
No,
they say we don't support and
that's
we're
a
not
lie.
interested. Okay.
That's a lie. It's a lie. In fact, when TV1 canceled News One Now, they came out and they said, "Oh, it was ratings. That was bullshit, bullshit." And because my social media was bigger than the networks, I said that's bullshit. The fact of the matter is, News One Now was the highest rated show consistently on TV1 between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Period. Ain't no debate. Now, you can't compare me to a primetime show because the audience is larger. They running promos left and right. You can't even compare that. The thing, though, is understanding the business of the business. So you can't launch a news show and then think it's going to get the same ratings as a primetime entertainment show. But then you also got to be conscious of the cost of that show. News One Now got canceled because Alfred Liggins told me they were refinancing the company's debt, and my show was a $5 million nut. We were a line item. That's what we were. That's why the show got canceled. Out of Alfred Liggins' own mouth to me, with D'Angelo Proctor sitting right next to me, who I went to high school with, he said, "I'm canceling the show because we're refinancing our debt. I need to cut costs left and right." That's why the show got canceled. That's just straight up. Now, YouTube. YouTube was adding new shows and stuff. When I launched, I reached out to them and they were like, "Yeah, we got a lot of news shows already." And they literally were like, "Yeah, we don't think black people watch news." I was like, "No, that's not true." What I understood was we do watch news, but it's how we do the news. It's can you produce it cost effectively? And then what is your level of variety? Well, because I know, because of going back to high school and college, I know behind the scenes and I know in front of the camera. I know economically how these things flow. So when I put Roland Martin Unfiltered together, I was like, this could be done, cost efficient, and be profitable. And folks are like, you out of your mind. Everybody told me I was nuts. 6 months in, Fox News announces Fox Nation, ABC expands their digital offering, CBS expands the digital offering. And I was kind of like, did I tell you I was coming? Because here's what people don't realize. I launched the first Black news source audio podcast in Chicago Defender in 2005. The first Black video podcast in 2006. I was a decade ahead. I've always been a decade ahead. So I knew, no, this digital show could work. In fact, it's about to blow you away. When I got wind they were looking at canceling TV1, I began to study, okay, how can we do it? Well, the cable contracts said you cannot produce, we could not stream or upload whole shows of internally produced shows per the cable contracts. Well, we had the show, we were airing Dish Nation. So I was like, okay, how are we airing Dish Nation on network, but they also online? So I go to the salespeople. I was like, yo, can y'all, no, the Philly relations, can y'all explain to me how that's happening? They said, oh, well, the contract says we can't stream or upload whole shows of shows we produce, not shows that we license and syndicate.
Mm.
So I go back and I say, okay, here's my proposal. Give me ownership of the show. License the same show from me. You're spending $5 million. Pay me a licensing fee of $3.5 million, and I will deliver the show to you back to TV1. I said, you handle the back end, and then now we can sell the show linear and digital, and now we get around your contract. They never responded. I came up with a way to keep the show on TV1 and stream it, and then get around that provision in the contract, but they chose not to do it.
By the way, in TV, that's done a lot. Like, I'll give you an example who did that.
Yep.
Jim Rome did that with his show. His show was not, it was his show, and he sold it through his production company back to ESPN, if I have that correctly. And so that setup is not, it's not something that you are demanding that was too much or beyond the scope of comprehension. It happens in television a lot.
And I was just trying to create, because I knew we could not properly build an audience if it's only on linear, because we were only promoting it on the network. It only aired one time. We weren't even on VOD. So you missed it, you didn't record it, show's over. I knew if we go digital, we can have clips, we can have full show, knew all of that. They chose not to do so, and that's fine. And so I didn't get mad. Like literally, when he canceled the show, this is no lie. To this day, I've never been upset 1 second when Alfred Liggins told me they canceled the show. I was sad for my staff who got laid off. But not one time did I go, man, it's a damn shame. Because literally, as he told me they were canceling it, while he was talking, this is exactly how I looked. And I was already going, when I leave this office, I'm going to call this person, this person, this person. I decided that I was launching what I'm doing right now, even before the meeting, but in that particular meeting. And even when they came back and offered me a new contract, I said, no. My agent was like, man, what you turned down $330,000 for? I said, because one, I was 49 years old. And I said, Mark, I am at my peak intellectually, health-wise, energy-wise. And if I don't do this now, I never will. And I don't believe there's anybody in Black-owned media who could actually pull this off. So I got to do it. Tom Jones show, I came in making $250,000 in 2008. By the time he retires in 2019, it got slashed to 48. So I was walking away from TV One money. I didn't have CNN. I literally funded this with my speeches the first year. And everybody told me, so I put in $350,000. People were like, man, you're absolutely crazy. I said, no, I'm trying to tell you. When I could have easily, I didn't have to launch Black Star Network. When I say my show was doing well, I'm talking about doing well. In the last year, I've put in from my show to launch the network $500,000. And again, somebody be like, dog, you could just chill. I could, but there's a greater vision. That's why in 3 weeks, we launched my 24-hour streaming channel. So so even though I got the OTT, I was like, no. So we signed a deal with Amazon. We're talking to 5 other distributors. Because again, I'm understanding what the next piece is. And so now we're still on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, OTT, download the Black Star Network. Now we got a 24-hour streaming channel. So now it's being what I call vertical and horizontal, and saying whatever offering you want. But the key is it's expanding opportunities, and it's creating space for new voices, because this ain't about me. I've never been one where, oh man, you jealous of somebody else? Nope. It's like Stephen A. did an interview on the Breakfast Club and actually pissed me off, and I sent word that I was pissed off, where he mentioned me and you, where he said he took exception to what we did and sort of how we left. And I said to a friend of his, and I could have called myself, but I said, why don't you let him know what I'm doing? It was never my intent to stay at CNN 30 years. I wasn't interested in being an Anderson Cooper. I was interested in owning my own so I can create opportunities for other people who I knew deserved it. That's what ownership does. I don't begrudge Stephen making $12 million. I'm cool with Robin making 15, 20 million. I fought through NABJ for Black people to be in mainstream, but I always knew I don't want to do that. I want to create a different legacy. And what I'm trying to do is create in the 21st century what Robert Abbott created when he launched the Chicago Defender. And when I ran the Chicago Defender, I actually tried to do this. And you know what they did? The brothers, and that's fine. This was ownership. It was owned by these millionaires out of Detroit, all Black. They came to me and they were like, yeah, no, we're just trying to keep the Defender small. And I said, I got to go, because that ain't my vision. So every place that I've worked in Black-owned media, Everything you see me doing right now, Jemele, I tried to do it all those places, but I didn't own it. So I couldn't execute. So I tried that TV one. Every place I said the only way I can execute this vision is if I launch it and I own it. And that's where we are.